2 months after my wedding, my husband's secretary sent me a photograph with one sentence that changed everything I thought I knew about my marriage. You deserve to know what your husband has been hiding. I stared at that message for almost a full minute before opening the photo. My name is Emily Carter. I was 43 years old, and until that afternoon, I believed I had finally found the peaceful love I had spent most of my life waiting for. My husband, Michael, was the kind of man everyone trusted. He was successful, polite, generous, and incredibly charming. When we got married, my family told me I was lucky, and I believed them. Our wedding had been beautiful. Nothing extravagant, just close family, good friends, soft music, and the man I loved standing beside me. For the first few weeks, everything felt perfect. Michael kissed me goodbye every morning before leaving for his office. He called during lunch. He brought flowers home on Fridays. Then things slowly changed. He started coming home later. He began keeping his phone face down, and whenever I asked about work, he would smile and say, "Just business." I tried not to become suspicious. I trusted my husband. Then his secretary, Olivia, sent me that photograph. I finally opened it. It showed Michael standing outside a hotel, but he wasn't alone. Standing beside him was a woman I had never seen before, and in Michael's hand was a small black folder. I zoomed in. My heart stopped because the woman wasn't a stranger. She was my husband's former fiancée, a woman he had told me had moved to another state years ago. Under the photo, Olivia had written, "Emily, please don't confront Michael yet. There is something much bigger than an affair." My hands started shaking. I immediately called her. She answered after only one ring. "Emily." "What is this?" There was silence. Then Olivia whispered, "I think Michael married you for a reason." I couldn't breathe. "What reason?" "I can't explain everything over the phone." "Then tell me where to meet you." Another silence. "Tomorrow morning, come alone." Then she hung up. That night, Michael came home carrying my favorite flowers. He kissed my forehead. "You look worried." I forced a smile. "I'm tired." He smiled back. "Don't worry about anything. I'm taking care of everything." Those words should have comforted me. Instead, they frightened me. Because for the first time, I wondered what exactly was Michael taking care of. The next morning, I met Olivia at a quiet coffee shop near Michael's office. She looked terrified. Before sitting down, she checked the entrance twice. "Emily, I don't know how much you know." "I know nothing, that's why I'm here." She placed an envelope on the table. "Michael doesn't know I contacted you." I opened it. Inside were copies of documents. My name was printed on several pages. I stared at them. "What are these?" "Your property records." I looked up. My mother had left me a small apartment building after she passed away. It wasn't something I talked about often. Michael knew about it, but I had never told him exactly how much it was worth. Olivia lowered her voice. "Michael has been asking questions about that property since before your wedding." My stomach tightened. "Why?" "I don't know everything, but I know he has been meeting with lawyers." I looked at the documents again. One page showed a company registration. The company had been created before my wedding, and my property was listed in one of the documents connected to it. I couldn't speak. Olivia continued. "There's more." She pulled out her phone. "Michael asked me to prepare a contract for him." "What kind of contract?" "A financial agreement." I felt cold. "Between who?" "Between you and him." I suddenly remembered something Michael had said a few weeks before our wedding. He had laughed and told me, "Once we're married, what's yours is mine and what's mine is yours." At the time, I thought it was romantic. Now it sounded completely different. I asked Olivia the question I was afraid to ask. "Is he having an affair?" She shook her head. "No." For some reason, that answer didn't make me feel better. "Then what is he doing?" Olivia looked directly into my eyes. "I think he is trying to get control of your property." I felt my entire body go numb. I wanted to call Michael immediately. I wanted to scream, but Olivia grabbed my hand. "Please don't confront him." "Why?" "Because if he knows we warned you, he'll destroy the evidence." I went home that afternoon and acted like nothing had happened. Michael was sitting in the living room. He smiled. "How was your day?" "Fine." He stood and kissed me. Then he asked, "Did you happen to speak with Olivia today?" My heart nearly stopped. I stared at him. "No," he smiled. "Good." That single word told me everything. He was watching me, and he knew more than I realized. That evening, I waited until Michael fell asleep. Then I quietly opened the laptop we shared. I searched through our financial files. Most of them looked normal. Then I found a folder hidden inside another folder. It was password protected. I tried several passwords. Nothing worked. Then I remembered our wedding date. The folder opened. Inside were dozens of documents, and one of them contained my name. I opened it. It was a draft agreement giving Michael control over the rental income from my mother's property. But there was something worse. The document had been prepared before our wedding, before we were even married. I stared at the screen in disbelief. He had planned this. Then I heard footsteps behind me. I quickly closed the laptop. Michael stood in the doorway. "What are you doing?" "Checking the bills." He stared at me. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Then he smiled. "You should come to bed." I nodded, but I couldn't sleep. The next morning, I received another message from Olivia. "Meet me at the hotel in the photograph." I went. She was waiting in the lobby. She handed me a second photograph. This one showed Michael entering a private meeting room, but there was another person in the picture, a lawyer. Olivia whispered, "That meeting happened 3 days before your wedding." My hands went cold. What were they discussing? I don't know. Then she looked at me, but I know what happened afterward. What? Michael asked the lawyer how quickly he could transfer your property into a business structure. I felt tears building in my eyes. I had married a man who had apparently been planning to take something from me before he even said his vows. But Olivia wasn't finished. "There is one more thing." She took out her phone and played an audio recording. Michael's voice came through the speaker. He was talking to someone. I listened carefully. Then I heard him say, "She trusts me completely. Once she signs, everything will be easy." I covered my mouth. That was my husband. The man who kissed me every morning. The man who told me I was safe with him. The man I had promised to spend the rest of my life with, and now I finally understood. He wasn't trying to build a future with me. He was trying to gain control of the future I had already built. I called a lawyer named Susan the same afternoon. I showed her everything. The documents, the photographs, the recording, the messages from Olivia. Susan listened quietly. Then she said something I will never forget. "Emily, don't tell Michael what you know." "Why?" "Because right now, he thinks you're unaware." She leaned forward. "That gives you an advantage." So I went home and became the wife Michael expected me to be. I smiled. I cooked dinner. I asked about his day. I kissed him goodnight. And every time he looked at me, I wondered how easily he had lied to my face. A few days later, Michael came home with a folder. "I have something important for us." I looked at the folder. "What is it?" "Just some financial paperwork." I smiled. "Sure, I'll look at it later." His expression changed. "Why later?" "Because I'm tired." He laughed. "You always overthink things." I looked at him. "You're right." Then I walked away. That night he tried again. "We should sign these soon." "What happens if I don't?" He stared at me. "Why wouldn't you?" "Because it's a big decision." His voice became colder. "Emily, we're married." "I know. So you trust me?" I smiled. "Of course I do." He relaxed. And that was exactly what I wanted. I wanted him to believe I was still completely unaware. Meanwhile, Susan was working behind the scenes. She discovered that Michael had serious business debts. His company was struggling, and if he couldn't find money soon, he could lose everything. My property wasn't just something he wanted. It was his escape plan. But there was one final piece missing. My signature. And he needed me to give it willingly. Then one evening, Michael made his move. He planned a dinner with both families. He told everyone it was simply a celebration of our marriage. But I knew better. He wanted witnesses. He wanted to make me look unreasonable if I refused to sign. So I agreed to go, but I didn't go alone. Olivia was there. Susan was there. And I had copies of every document Michael thought I had never seen. That night, I finally decided I was done being the woman he thought he could fool. The dinner started normally. Michael smiled. He joked with my family. He talked about our future. Then, halfway through dinner, he stood up. "I want to say something about my wife." Everyone looked at him. He smiled at me. "Emily and I are building a life together, and sometimes building a life requires trust." Then he placed the folder on the table. "I've prepared some documents that will help us manage our future finances." He pushed the folder toward me. I didn't touch it. Instead, I looked at him. "Michael, before I sign anything, there's something I'd like everyone to see." His smile disappeared. "What?" I nodded toward Olivia. She connected her phone to the television in the room. The first photograph appeared. Michael standing outside the hotel with his former fiancée. His family immediately became silent. Michael stood up. "That's not what you think." I didn't answer. The second photograph appeared. Michael meeting with his lawyer before our wedding. Then the documents appeared. The company he created. The property records. the agreement designed to give him control of my assets. Michael's face went pale. Emily, where did you get those? I looked at him. You should ask yourself why your secretary had to show them to me. Everyone turned toward Olivia. She looked nervous but remained silent. Then I played the recording. Michael's own voice filled the room. She trusts me completely. Once she signs, everything will be easy. Nobody spoke. Michael looked around. His brother stood up. Is that you? Michael couldn't answer. I finally said, you didn't marry me because you loved me. He shook his head. That's not true. You knew about my property before we were married. I was trying to protect our future. You created a company before our wedding. That was business. You met with a lawyer before our wedding to plan how to get control of my property. He said nothing. I stepped closer. And then you tried to convince me that signing those papers was simply part of being a married couple. His eyes filled with anger. You're destroying our marriage over money. I looked at him. No, Michael. I paused. You destroyed our marriage when you decided my trust was something you could use. Nobody defended him, not even his family. I picked up my purse. Before walking away, I looked at the man I had married. I trusted you because I loved you. Then I said the words that had been waiting inside me for weeks. But you mistook my trust for weakness. And I walked out. The divorce wasn't easy. Michael fought. He claimed the documents were misunderstood. He said Olivia had betrayed him. He even tried to convince people that I had planned everything because I wanted his money. But the evidence was stronger than his excuses. My property remained mine. His business debts remained his responsibility. And the agreement he had secretly prepared never became reality. Months passed. Eventually, the divorce was finalized. The strangest part was that I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. One Saturday morning, I drove past the hotel where everything had started. I parked outside and sat in my car. I remembered the woman I had been when I first saw that photograph. She had been scared, confused, heartbroken, but she had also made one important decision. She chose to find the truth. I realized something that day. Sometimes the worst betrayal in your life isn't there to destroy you. Sometimes it forces you to finally see what you refused to see before. I didn't lose my future. I lost a man who had never truly been part of the future I imagined. And that was painful, but it wasn't the end of my life. I started traveling again. I spent more time with my family. I reopened the little art studio I had abandoned after getting married. And slowly, I learned to enjoy my own company. For years, I thought being alone meant something had gone wrong. Now I understood something completely different. Being alone isn't the same as being lonely. Sometimes being alone is the first time you can finally hear your own thoughts. A few months after the divorce, Olivia sent me one final message. I'm glad I sent you that photograph. I smiled and replied, so am I, because that one photograph had changed my life. It had broken my heart, but it had also saved me from a future built on a lie. And if there is one thing I learned from everything that happened, it's this: trust the people you love, but never stop listening to your instincts. If something doesn't feel right, you don't have to ignore it just to keep the peace. And if someone truly loves you, they will never ask you to surrender your dignity, your independence, or everything you've worked for just to prove your love. Michael thought my trust would make me easy to control. He was wrong. Because sometimes the strongest person in the room isn't the one shouting. It's the one who quietly discovers the truth and then walks away. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more emotional stories about betrayal, secrets, family drama, and the unexpected strength people find when their world falls apart. And remember, the truth may hurt when you discover it, but living a lifetime inside a lie hurts even more.